The major issue I have with the surrogates of Reform UK in the legacy media, such as Alex Phillips and Isabel Oakeshott, is there is a profound sense of entitlement, and this is their time. There's a profound sense of it's our turn to run the media, it's our turn to run politics, it's our turn to tell the plebs that they don't get a seat at the table. This is my issue with Reform UK. Now, when I look at people like Brendan O'Neill from The Spectator plugging Reform UK and saying that Makerfield has rejected the nastiness of Restore Britain, I don't see that. I see fear, I see entitlement, and I see disdain for people like me, people from my council estate, people from my town, that we're meant to take what we're given and like it because, like all the other parties, what else are you going to vote for? Now, Isabel Oakeshott and Alex Phillips, these were both people that when I'd done a video about 18 months ago, and it was like my fantasy football of dream cabinets. They were both in it. All right. I always aligned with their views. I thought they were well spoken on particular subjects, both Brexiteers, and both on my side of the arguments. All right. That all went tits up with the split on the right. I didn't vote for that, and I didn't vote for the split on the right. All right. Let's frame it as democracy. This has all happened because of egos. This has all happened, in my particular view, because Rupert Lowe was more right of centre than Nigel Farage. And he was getting the biggest cheers. I can attest to that when I was attending reform meetings locally. He was getting bigger cheers than Nigel Farage. And he was saying things more popular with the grassroots than Nigel. And he didn't like that. When I see the legacy media surrogates, as I say, such as Alex Phillips, even Matt Goodwin on GB News and Isabel Oakeshott mocking the fact that Restore Britain have took nearly 7% of the vote in Makerfield. They're doing it from a position of a castle built on sand. They know that Restore Britain is a legitimate and real threat. The legacy parties, the Lib Dems, the Tories, and the Greens didn't even retain a deposit in Makerfield, but Restore Britain did. When they liken Restore Britain to the BNP, they're trying to create a association to put people off voting for them in the future. The BNP took 28 years to get 3,000 votes in 2010. They took 28 years. Restore Britain done it in 4 months. That is concerning to Reform UK, former UKIPers, and people that come from that tradition. This is what they're terrified of, that their day in the sun won't actually happen. And I expect better from people like Alex Phillips because she was with UKIP when they were polling at 2, 3, 4%. And now she has the audacity to mock a new political startup party for achieving the same, saying, well, they're not really a threat. Well, the airtime and media play that Restore Britain is getting paints a different picture. If we are truly irrelevant, they wouldn't be so defensive. I'm going to get to some clips now. I'm going to get to some clips that illustrate what I'm making here, the points that I'm making. So I'm going to get to these now.
In my opinion, this is the new BNP, and I don't say that lightly. Some of the people associated with this movement are deeply unpleasant.
Here's the thing, there may be some deeply unpleasant people on the right of centre discourse and politics. There may also be some deeply unpleasant people on the left of centre discourse in politics in the United Kingdom. You don't have to agree with what they're saying. But I want more conversation, more debate, and everybody's entitled to a vote, as long as you're not in prison. This is the law of the land. So what Isabel's saying here is she doesn't like some of the more unsavoury elements of the online discourse. And she doesn't think that they should be afforded a voice or a seat at the table in a political process. That is elitist, and that's deeply problematic for me. And notice by the framing of what she's saying here, she says, in my opinion. She doesn't make it an edict, she doesn't make it an absolute, because then she'd be smearing Restore Britain. They are nothing like the BNP. This is just her view. My view is she's talking out of her rear end. But I digress. We'll continue.
But nonetheless, they are now a significant consideration for anyone who's looking at wanting to replace socialism with a small c conservative government.
But your political party, Reform UK, doesn't think that people complicit in the grooming gangs in the United Kingdom that weren't actually perpetrators should be deported. Now, if you know a crime has been committed and you don't intercede or notify the police, that is a crime. We'll end this clip here. If you know of a crime being committed in Britain and you do not report it to the police, that is a crime. If a crime is happening next door that your neighbour is committing and you're knowing of that, or you have a deep suspicion that that is happening and you don't report it to the police, that is a crime. When we get the family members of the child molesters and groomers who are sent down that are not native to this United Kingdom or first generation migrants or second generation, and their families are lambasting the victims and calling them all the names under the sun and attesting that they still love their parents or dads or brothers or uncles or whatnot, these people should not be in my country. This is the moderate position. This should not be an extreme point of view. I'll get on to the second clip now, and this is Alex Phillips. She has a complete and utter meltdown.
Should I give you my two-bit? Is that what you want? Do you want to know what I think about this? Well, really, I suppose, from the point of view of most of our listeners, the big battle, the thing we wanted to see how that was going to play out, was this stupid little competition between Reform and Restore. Restore, obviously, trying to out the BNP, but actually underperformed when compared to the BNP.
Not really. As I've already mentioned, Alex, BNP took 28 years to get where they got from 1982 to 2010. Restore Britain did it in 4 months. Reform's first election out of the gate, I think they got just over 300 votes. Something to think about, sweetheart. I'm sure you know this, which is why she's so panicked and startled.
Guys, that's all they need to do. This is what you've got to realise. They're not playing serious politics. When you're parking outside an HQ and megaphones and silly little songs with racist language and swear words, you're not being serious about the future of this country, about our culture, about our communities, about our civilization.
Were Reform UK being serious when they reported Rupert Lowe, their most popular MP, to the police on bogus charges that the police later dropped? When they were putting rumours around in the press that he was senile, he had early onset dementia? Were Reform UK playing serious? Is that grown up politics, in your opinion? Is that grown up? Is that the moral and ethical thing to do?
No, you're just being idiots. Arrogant, egotistical, little boy idiots.
If Nigel Farage was serious about uniting the right, he would just have not acted with Rupert Lowe. He could say that's his opinion. It's not party policy. He didn't do that. He saw Rupert Lowe as a legitimate threat to his leadership. He was getting the biggest cheers, and Farage didn't like that.
And the problem is this. If they then decide to do this in other marginal red wall constituencies that Reform could win, if they decide that they really want to upset Nigel Farage and stop Reform at any cost, well, they may as well just join the left-wing coalition. Because we have seen, haven't we, that the left wing, they know how to tactically vote. They will do it they will all club together to prevent the right wing from getting anywhere near the levers of power. And can we really stomach another term of left-wing governance, probably extreme left-wing governance if it becomes some sort of coalition of the left, after we've finished with these bozos? I don't feel like we can. But, you know, if Restore want to play their spiteful little games and poor little Rupert might feel like he's justified in attacking Nigel Farage, well, fine. But how about you just go back to your farm, have a cup of tea and talk to your animals? Because your little spite campaign is actually spiting the country. Because what you will deliver, if you carry on playing this game of, you know, getting your little measly 5% and trying to push them down in certain seats so they don't get a majority, so they can't form a government because that's what you're trying to do. If you do that, and you therefore hand this nation once again to a load of madcap commie socialists hell-bent on destroying everything the West stands for, then your arrogance, your hubris, your egomania will be the thing that doesn't just cost.
This is projection. Reform UK realised their mistake. It's their arrogance, their egos and their hubris that has caused this. We didn't ask for what they would coin the extreme right or the far right to be expelled from Reform UK. You did that to yourselves. If you want to blame anybody, blame the leadership at Reform UK. I'm not going to take blame for this. This was not my fault.
Us a future victory at a general election. When I say us, I mean those of us who just want to see a sensible right-wing government. It won't just cost that. It will frankly cost our only chance in the 11th hour to get what we desperately need. In fact, it will potentially cost most of Europe. Because serious people right now are making sure various European leaders are talking to each other, that they're cooperating, that they're coming up with policies together that can push back against the ECHR, that can push back against the EU, that really can stop the votes. So you're grandstanding about being led around by a load of boys. There are other people trying to do the serious work of politics.
You did this. All of this is projection. All of this is her having a meltdown because she's not going to become an MP. This is all their own doing. When she's saying it's children messing around with politics, when it's boys messing around with politics, what I actually think is that they're happy to put a 18-year-old as a leader of a county council. I think his name's George Fitch. He's leading 2 councils currently. He's 18 or 19. Some may call him, oh, well, he's just a boy. He's in charge of billions of pounds of, money. What is Reform UK doing? Queen Victoria, age 18, ran the largest empire the world has ever seen as Empress of India, from the age of 18. And you don't think men and women in their 20s are politically experienced enough to actually do the hard yards, draft policy, and actually get people elected that believe in what they're saying? You don't think that that's legitimate? Complete arrogance, complete and utter arrogance.
And as for the backers of this silly little pathetic party, think about what you're doing. This isn't the time for games. This isn't the time for proving a point, for shouting abusive comments at other people, for making little viral videos because you get a dopamine rush from getting a retweet. This is our future. This is politics for grown-ups. And I suggest that anybody who's seen what's happened, okay, did it split the vote? Did it actually catapult Burnham into power? Well, not technically, no. But what we can see from the vote share, if that were to be projected into a general election situation, is we see doom.
The vote share is going to increase exponentially time after time after time after time. The snowball has to start somewhere, alright? That's the reality of the situation. You are shitting yourself because Restore Britain have come so far so quickly. And I would be afraid too if I was in your position. You should have been building the grandest and the broadest of coalitions to bring in as many right of centre voices as you possibly could. You didn't do that. You thought you could pander to the left. You thought you could conjure up the devil and ask him to behave. Well, no, Damien's not having that. Damien's not having that. All right? You've done this to yourself. You've got a nice little gig on Talk TV. You've got a nice little talk show on Talk TV. And you've got the audacity to say that people like me and people who are backing Restore and were backing Reform are being childish. Well, no, I don't recognise what you're selling me here on the TV as something that I would want to vote for. Alright? Your primacy, your primary concern should be winning back people that you expelled from the party or you think are too right of centre for you. That would be my advice.
We see the end of any hope that we can ever, in your words, restore Britain. So I would suggest you take this weekend to go back to your farm and have a long old think about what you want to happen to this country, my friend.
We have decided we're actually fielding a candidate in the Manchester mayor elections at the end of July. So buckle up. It's going to be a bumpy ride, I think. So thank you for that. Thank you. Thank you for the affirmation. It's appreciated.
Because really, if you've got even one fibre of decency, you will bury your stupid, ridiculous little vengeance plan and just go retire. Chill out. Whatever you want to do, just don't insist on trying to become some sort of electoral wrecking ball.
You started it, and I think Restore Britain will finish it. And the final one is only a short clip, but I'll get into this straight away. It's Alex Phillips again.
Something very sad. When you see these young men who have their little YouTube shows and put their videos up and try to be, I'm so intellectual, this is why this happened, and I'm just going to make everyone with a very long tweet, and you're all going to be put to right because I've got glasses on now, and everyone must think I'm so learned. And this is the purest, best form of right wing. Let's all say, to me, these men who live online doing that are not really that different from women who are putting a load of lip filler in and standing on a balcony in Dubai going like that. Yeah. It's nonsense. Yeah. I always said it's nonsense. Yeah.
I think she's talking about Connor Tomlinson there. I could be wrong, but I think she is. I don't like the implication there either that there's people, in her view, cosplaying, because there's a class issue in Britain that we all know about. It's why they could dismiss Tommy Robinson for so long as being a far right thug, when he's pretty much saying the same things as Douglas Murray, who they take more seriously. I really don't like that, because the gammons, the people like me, aren't really allowed to have a voice. We're not really allowed to voice our opinions. Or we've got to cosplay, or we've got to put glasses on, or we've got to pretend we're, in their view, smarter than we are. You don't need a university degree to be smart. Alright? What are they teaching in universities at the moment? To hate our country, to hate our heritage, and to be anti-white. If that's what being in university is going to do, then count me out. Count me out. We're going to end this here. There may be some unsavoury people, some people may think they're unsavoury, who are backing Restore Britain. My view is they're not shaping policy and they're not actually in a leadership role in the party. And you can't dictate or control who votes for you. Restore Britain is not an ethno-nationalist party. Millions must go does not mean you want an all-white country. It means you want demographic security. We want to know that the country, the inheritance that we've been given, is going to be bequeathed to the next generation. That's not racism. That's common sense. That's something everybody in this United Kingdom should be able to get behind. As always, these are just my opinions. Your mileage may vary. Comment, like and subscribe. Let me know if you think I'm right or wrong. and I'll see you in the next video. Have a good day.